Hey everyone, welcome to Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Now in this video, I'm going to discuss the idea and theory that asks the question, could there be a mastermind behind all of the Ghostface attacks for all 6 and about to be 7 Scream films? It's an intriguing question and one that I feel is worth exploring, and I will share 4 possible candidates for being a franchise mastermind. So it's time to line up the suspects and get started. Let's go!
Hi everyone, this is Mathieu Kadar, and I'm the Ghostface in the opening scene in Scream 6. And yes, I'm the one who kills Samara Weaving, and you're watching Craving Something Scary.
So I recently read an article over on GameRant.com that really got me thinking about the idea of there being a mastermind behind all of the Ghostface killings across all 6 films. And I'll be incorporating some of the content of that article into my assessments as I get into it as well. Now, if you want to read the full article, then go visit GameRant.com and search for it, and you'll be able to read the whole article. Now, let's begin to examine the 4 suspects and see where our theories may take us. So here is the first potential mastermind. We're going to start with Hank Loomis. That's right, Billy Loomis's father from Scream 1. Now, Hank Loomis is an intriguing idea to think about and kind of explore a little bit. Because remember, as far as motive goes, he was having an ongoing affair with Maureen Prescott. But obviously his wife, Nancy Loomis, found out about what was happening, and she left the family, cutting off all future contact, as Billy said that was the reason she left, moved out, and abandoned him. Now, in this scenario, right, because we're thinking through theories, right? So Hank could have easily blamed Maureen, get the blame off himself, of course, get it to Maureen, and poisoned Billy with the same ideology to the point that, he could have pushed his son to the breaking point of obsession to kill Maureen, and then Sydney 1 year later to finish off the revenge. I mean, it's very plausible that could happen. I mean, yeah, Billy was probably 17 years old, but I mean, that's still a teenager. And from what we know about Hank Loomis, he was a powerful attorney at Sunrise Studios. So he had a lot of authority, a lot of power, probably very controlling, could have been even domineering, we don't know. But there's at least, we could at least draw some lines to say it's possible. So he could have easily just poisoned Billy to the point where Billy became obsessed. And then with Roman being involved, and of course being in the film business, but back here, Roman could have met with Hank just as easily as he did with Billy, because he was following Maureen around. We know that he was recording Maureen Prescott with Hank Loomis, with Cotton Weary. So we know Roman was already in Woodsboro on the scene with his camera. He could have easily met with Hank after one of their rendezvous and recorded it, to show Sydney in the events of Scream 3 whenever they would finally eventually meet each other. It was crazy, as crazy as it may sound initially, if you really think about it, and again, this is just a very high level kind of scraping the surface idea right now. But with Hank Loomis, if you think about these things further, you could probably flesh this out into a script and at least say that Hank Loomis is a plausible suspect Again, doesn't mean it's probable that he is, but this is all theory. He's at least plausible. I think you can make the case that Hank Loomis could be behind everything, and look at the dominoes that fall after Scream 1. Now, when referring to the Game Rant article, they concluded their article with this, quote, "It is quite possible that Hank Loomis was behind the rest of the murders, as his ex-wife, Nancy Loomis, was the mastermind behind the killings in Scream 2. It's not too far-fetched to suggest that Hank and Nancy joined forces in the face of grief after Billy died to plot an attack on Sidney Prescott. Sidney's Scream 7 story could reveal that it was Hank Loomis who was behind all the future murder sprees," end quote. So, having said that again, guys, I think we can cash out with Hank Loomis that at the very least, we could discuss it more. He's at least plausible for being a franchise mastermind. However, there are two individuals that I think are more likely, if this scenario were to play out, to be the potential masterminds of the franchise. The next possible suspect is Christina Carpenter. Now, when we talk about Christina, we look at motive. And for me, it's jealousy all the way. I mean, she viewed Sidney as the enemy, as Billy was very public that Sidney was his girlfriend. I mean, we see in Scream 1, Billy's not hiding Sidney at all. And so clearly that was his girlfriend of choice in public and as far as everyone else is concerned. But all the while, at some point during that time, or maybe the entire time, he was seeing Christina Carpenter as well, which obviously resulted in Samantha Carpenter. Now, she could have easily thought about ways to make Sidney suffer pain and loss, especially, again, jealousy. If she's like hyper jealous, she's now, learning she's pregnant with Billy's child while Billy's out, everywhere with Sidney Prescott. And jealousy can be obsessive. It can be controlling. It could have easily taken over her. And, to the point where she would sit there literally thinking of ways to make Sidney feel pain. How can she do it? Roman could have easily been aware of Billy and Christina's relationship as well, just as he had witnessed Maureen with his dad. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to do, to be in a small town, hanging out for a while, tracking people, following them. It would make sense. So Roman could definitely be involved there as well. And he could have even given Christina the idea of continuing the murder spree that started with Maureen Prescott, and now, obviously, that continued on with all the victims in Scream, ultimately Billy dying from it. But all of the next films, I mean, the murder spree of the next films, think about it, they all revolve around Sidney or Billy's family. And so there's this connection there that now that Christina Carpenter, we know, produced a child, a Loomis child, then she can easily be in the discussion for being a mastermind here, having a part in all of these murders. And we know that she would have been a student with Sidney and Billy in high school. And so they're going to be the same age, so approximately. So they're going to, she could have easily just come up with her age and do, and just making these things happen piece by piece by piece. So I think that regarding Christina Carpenter, it is such an unknown, and there's so much potential that a writer could do with that character. And so I don't think it's out of the question at all that you could make a case that Christina Carpenter could be a mastermind of all these events, at least playing a part, especially with Roman. But I think it's possible. Now, Game Rant had their final opinion on Christina Carpenter. They said this. They said Christina Carpenter could still return in Scream 7 as she has obvious links to Sidney Prescott, as her ex-boyfriend Billy Loomis is the father of Sam Carpenter. Christina could be revealed to be the Ghostface mastermind behind all the attacks, and her involvement could link back as far as the original Ghostface killings. It would also be a good way to include Sam and Tara in the story for Scream 7, despite them not being in the movie, or despite their no-show. So that's also another good point. Like if they're going to try to have at least some kind of some kind of a commentary on Sam and Tara, if they do, then Christina Carpenter is the way you can do it and kind of close that chapter for now. So those are some initial thoughts. Again, I'm not trying to do an exhaustive video for 20 minutes on one character. I want to just start the discussion here, get our brains moving in these directions while we're waiting for news, and let's get some theories together. That's what's fun about this. So I think Christina Carpenter, yes, is a likely, or not likely, but potential, plausible for sure, like Hank, but I think even more plausible than Hank, because considering all of the last two movies. So yeah, I think she's got a shot at that if they were to go in the direction of a franchise mastermind. Now, my final two suspects are going to be Leslie and Stu Macher. That's right, a brother and sister combo masterminds. Now, before I get into the article and what it has to say, I have some of my thoughts I want to share with you first. Now, number one, when you look at Stu, Stu, as far as motive goes, remember back to the first film, Stu is a thrill killer. He kills without needing motive. I mean, he even said about killing Maureen Prescott at the end in the kitchen with Nev. Remember, he said it was fun. Remember, of course, I can't say it like him. But, he said it was fun. People, and I see people all the time often underestimating Stu Macher and who he was as a killer. He just doesn't get the credit he should get. Billy's motive was, of course, revenge. That was clear. But Stu's motive was not just because he was going to help his friend Billy kill. I'm sure that was part of it, of course. But his motive was because he enjoyed killing. And I believe he survived the events of Scream 1. And listen, I know that it's a hot topic. That's great. But I have tons of videos and literally an entire mock court case explaining why here on the channel. Just go searching for Stu. You'll find all the videos. And so, in my mind, there's no reason to believe that Stu ever stopped killing. Ever. He's a thrill killer. It's for fun. Now, combine that with the clues and breadcrumbs that are in Scream 5 and Scream 6 that point towards Stu being behind the dreaded post from 5, and I believe recruiting a Ghostface cult as evidenced in Scream 6 by Jason and Greg in the beginning. Completely separate, and it shows there were other Ghostface killers in the cult who are killing to complete what Richie and Amber started as members of the cult that I do believe Stu Macher is leading. And again, that's my own opinion. I feel strongly about that. And at the very least, it's fun to theorize, okay? Whether you agree or not, completely up to you. But I think it's plausible. The clues are there. Now, that's Stu. But now here's the other thing. We have the mystery of Leslie Macher. And this is where the writers could take things to the next level, because we know nothing about Leslie Mocker, which includes whether or not we have seen her before or never at all. And this opens the door for any new character in Scream 7 to be Leslie, but known obviously under a different name. It probably wouldn't reveal that's Leslie Mocker till the end, but we see her throughout the movie as under a different name. So the possibilities of Leslie and Stu working together to try and finally put an end to Sidney and Gail with their Ghostface cult are nearly endless. What they could do, and you could just do so many things. And then if you factor in the cult of Ghostface theory, which again I believe that Scream 6 pretty much solidified that as a real thing with Jason and Greg, then this could literally be the wildest Scream movie potentially since the original, and that gets me so stoked. So those are my thoughts about a Leslie and Stu Mocker brother-sister mastermind. I think it could be so fun, so cool, and that's really, if they were going to go in this type of direction, that's the one I personally want to see the most above anything else. Now, the article concluded this about the Mockers. It says in Scream 5, Ghostface targets Stu Mocker's nephew, Vince Schneider, and he brutally killed in the parking lot in a local bar in Woodsboro, we all remember. The gang discover his identity when they find out his mother is Stu's sister, Leslie Mocker. There is a possibility Leslie was behind the death of her son in order to protect her family from further shame, as he was a rather nefarious character. What if Leslie Mocker was the mastermind behind the Ghostface murders in the sequels and is either assisting Stu or avenging his death if he actually died? Again, I do 100%. I'm a conductor of the Stu train, 100% Stu truther. You guys know that. In my book, he's absolutely alive, and that's why I love this theory of him and Leslie working together and potentially being the franchise masterminds. Should, again, the writers ever want to explore going down that road, either in Scream 7 or beyond. So this, guys, is just to get the discussion started. I thought it was a fun idea, a fun theory to explore. And now I want to know, since you know my thoughts, I want to know what you're thinking about the idea and theory that there could at least possibly be a mastermind or masterminds behind all the Ghostface killings and attacks in the franchise. And also, which of these candidates that I laid out today do you think would be most likely to be that individual or individuals? So I want to know what your thoughts are, your ideas, and yes, your theories regarding this topic. Whatever direction you want to go with it, I want to know what you're thinking. So use your voice by typing a comment, sharing your thoughts. Let me see them, let everyone else see them, and we can begin a discussion together here on the video channel, video page. All right, so listen, guys, I'll leave it there for now, but I'm going to be back soon with more Scream 7 and other horror movie content. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join my all-new Patreon with exclusive perks right now, link in the description. And one last time, this is Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Thanks for watching.